Hey heroes, welcome back. As you're back from vacation, my friend,
Yeah,
and it's time to do our full-on season one, just full thoughts. I've had time to watch the whole season again,
let's go.
and I did a sort of I did my ranking of the episodes, so it might end up getting yours as well. Just getting going here, and just now that we've had time, a little time to process it, what are we thinking about season one, the full season, likes, dislikes? Where do you kind of rank some of your episodes and some of the big questions we have that are going to be show only? Some stuff might dive into the books a little bit, and then we'll talk about where we're going to be going. Then we're talking about where we're going to be going forward just a little bit here with our show, diving back into the books.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So let's start with just, I guess, overall, just our initial, like, the big picture, big takeaway. What was season one a success? Yes, successful, very successful. Did a great job. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I think it was great. Gosh, I don't know about the ending yet. I had to go back and watch that again, and I felt a little bit better about it, but it wasn't the ending I was expecting. It wasn't necessarily the ending that I wanted. But I still want more, and I'm still, there were still really epic moments, really hype moments, and I was happy about that. And for me, the biggest thing about season one that I really enjoyed was that I got to see different scenes that were never in the books but were alluded to, and that took place. And they said, okay, in with the show, we can go and see those. We can see the women's circle. We can show you things in the tower. We can see Logain's trial. We can see some of these things that we didn't necessarily get to see in the books. Now, some people didn't like that because they wanted to see the books regurgitated again, chapter by chapter, page by page, and it didn't happen. And I'm okay with some change, man. I'm okay with some of these changes that were made. I'm all
Right.
right, but there were some changes that I don't know. Like, towards the end, I was
Right.
like, this is getting out of hand a little bit. But I mean, no, it was still really good, and I still got the chills. I was still blown away. We did over on Apple Premium. We did a reaction to some of the season finale stuff that was leaked that you actually showed me, and I'll just go ahead and say it. So, some of that stuff sent chills down my spine, like just seeing Balsamon, Shamael, all this stuff happening. It was crazy. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I overall enjoyed it. I thought it was really good all along. I really thought the season finale was going to hit harder. And I think if you take that away, if you ask me this question right before season finale, I'm like, this is epic. I'm over the top talking about how awesome it is. And then the season finale kind of didn't sit too well with me. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think I agree with you a lot. I really enjoyed 1 through 7. I didn't like 8 very much. I thought it was the worst episode of the season. Actually, I thought it was, to be honest, I would give it quite a bit lower rating than just about every other episode. There were obviously changes, again, like you said, going off some of the stuff they added. Getting to see the White Cloaks for me was a great. I thought that the way they did the White Cloaks was great, made them way more menacing, way more serious than they are in the books. Lan, I thought, was great. Daniel Haney's portrayal of Lan, getting to see him more, just being a boss. I thought he was awesome. Trying to think of some other things that I just really genuinely enjoyed. I thought the sets, looked good. There were definitely moments, I would say, inconsistencies a little bit with like CGI. I would say sometimes like it looked okay, sometimes it looked a little off to but for the most part I definitely felt good about it. I think actually I think the acting was great for the whole season.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Anytime it was kind of awkward or weird, I felt like was really obviously script driven, like episode 8. So there was definitely nothing on like, ooh, this is bad acting.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime I didn't particularly like something, you could chalk that up to script. But I think as a season one, it did its job. right? Which
Yeah,
is
yeah, sure.
which is to get you set up to get a season 2. Most shows flop after season 1. This show is, is already greenlit for season 3. So with the lack of impact from COVID, I mean, there'll still be somewhat of an impact, but certainly it's now way more lax than it obviously was when they were filming this, when everything originally shut down in like March of 2020. I think with that, and you're not having a main character leave, because who knows how much that really impacted 7 and 8. Then I think I'm excited for season 2. I think it'll probably be better, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm here. I think season 2 will be better, and I think there's a lot more to look forward to in that season. Budget being better. I mean, you said all the COVID concerns, different things. They had time too. What I heard was that when season 1 was going on and they had a lot of these things done, it gave them time to look ahead and say, what can we put in season 1 or towards the end, add in, take out, whatever that's going to tie us and help us move into season 2 and make it better. Because I want to see things that pay off, right? Like paying attention in season 1 should matter for season 2. Like I want to see those things. I want rewarded for watching season 1. And so hopefully some of those, some of these questions will be answered, or there'll be some other mystery or some foreshadowing that pays off later on. I'm looking forward to it, but I liked it. I thought it was cool to see the world. I thought it was cool to see the costumes and some of the props. I felt like they did a good job with that. And, again, I think people's biggest gripe is some of the story changes, and we can talk all about that later, because I have a whole list of questions I want to ask, things that still aren't answered and things that are different. Matt's we started up that series basically like differences between the books and the show, and there are quite a few, which we get. We're not going to be able to mention all of them because, by God, it's there are quite a few changes. But yeah, again, happy to see the world. I will remind folks that I never thought the Wheel of Time was going to, on this grand scale, was going to come out. We were going to get to see
to any means,
like a Randall Thor on screen, and actually just to see any of these individuals show up. So I am happy, I guess, that is happening. I know some people are like, well, you know what, they botched it so much that I'd rather them not have done it. I'm totally out on that. I still think like that I'm happy that we have it, and the spirit of the show for the most part is or the spirit of the books is there in the show for the most part. So
right. Yeah, I mean, and again, I'll say this too with season, just in terms of like what I expect for season 2, is I just watched The Witcher season 2, and I liked it way more than season 1. Like,
me too.
I was like, my God, I felt like it was such a step up. So, just keep that in mind as with season 1. Now, again, if it turns out if season 2 is all of like episode 8, then okay, I might be good. I might be out, right? I mean, okay, I think I'm good. Like, but I'm not saying that's gonna be, that's gonna be the case. But so we got this season as we got the first 3 episodes, and then we got an episode a week after that. I already kind of did my ranking. I'd have to go back and specifically look at how I ranked it, but I know I had episode 8 at the bottom, and I had episode 7, I think, as my number. Or which one did I have? I go back and look. Now I can't even think straight of which episodes I had where. But I really loved episode 1, because just to be able to see those first opening chapters were amazing.
Yeah.
And then Dana, the Dark Friend, and that opening night, and getting Tom Maryland there was just so good. And then coolest shot for me of season 1 has to have been the Blood Snow opening scene, and getting that just awesome. That scene was just so awesome.
Yeah. No, that was a really good scene. So for me, I've got it pulled up here, just some of the episodes, and I'll just kind of do I'm not sure I'm going to rank them, but I want to talk to you guys about my favorites. I did love episode 1. I thought it was just cool, because it was probably the hype. It was the emotion. We were like, Matt and I were thinking we were getting it early. And so I was like, this is cool. We were like so locked in, and it was just awesome. So that's towards the top. Shadows Waiting in episode 2. I was a little bit, the Manetheren stuff was cool. I am glad Rafe kept that in. That was cool to hear the song and the backstory and to get that moment. It wasn't as powerful as like what Moraine does in front of the villagers and everything, but it still was there, and it felt good. Episode 3, A Place of Safety. Now, yeah, that one was the one with the Dark Friend, right? That was
Dana.
Dana the Dark Friend. That was good. So episodes 1 and 3 are like up there in the maybe the top tier for me. So I'll keep that in mind. The Dragon Reborn. Now this is where Lan's throat is like slit, right? And Nynaeve does her healing
Right.
at the. That might be my favorite moment, actually. I didn't think they were going to do that. It's just such a departure. It's so different. It's a battle with Logain. I know it's crazy, but it was just like, it had me shocked. People are going to be raging because I know that was so hard for people to kind of take and to see that happen. But like his lines to her, the romance building, the things that were happening there, it was pretty awesome. And to see the other Ajas, to see the greens and the reds interacting and the warders. I know some people didn't like that because there was a lot of focus on Steppen, the warder, and people were like, "What the heck? Come on, well, you know why is this guy getting all the screen time?" But it was cool. It made it. I guess it hit harder there in that episode in the following one where Steppen will die and then his warder died in episode 4. But Nynaeve's situation, like the healing of Lan in the Dragon Reborn episode 4 was cool, and we had the internet was buzzing like, "Is she the Dragon Reborn?" All this stuff. It was crazy. So I thought that was a high moment for sure. And then Blood Calls to Blood episode 5. I don't know. That was
I had it towards the bottom.
Yeah, it just wasn't a whole lot there. You know, it was
this was just well, yeah.
Okay.
And for me, looking back on it, I feel like honestly that now, like when I first kind of saw it, I was like, that's kind of emotional. It's kind of cool. But now going back and seeing the whole thing again, I felt like that was an enormous waste of time.
Yeah, I know they've been trying to really explore that warder Aes Sedai bond, and like again, they're trying to show that. So again, one of the things I liked, and I said this at the top of the show, was that I like that you got to see scenes that weren't, and people were like, yeah, that weren't there in the books, you know, like, yeah, okay, that's true. So we get to see some of this other stuff with the tower, and so it's interesting that that's a thing, or that's something that was in the show. We get to see them experience, or we get to experience this ceremony with the warders and see how they deal with loss and bringing the rings back to Tar Valon and melting them down and all that kind of stuff. So it's cool, but yeah, it was a bit too much. And again, Lan did a great job. Daniel Henney was awesome. I loved his acting, and it's powerful, and it did get you like, whoa, it was jarring. It does do its job and like really evoking emotion, but it was almost just like too much. I don't know. But that's been what they wanted. They wanted that those feels. So yeah, that was, I don't know. Episode 6, the Flame of Tar Valon, I thought was great. I love this episode because
that's the Swan episode.
Yeah, on your knees, the whole thing, right? I mean, wow, weren't we all? You know, but it was good. I really liked it, and I like to see Swan and Moiraine. That was one of those things again that was hinted at quite a bit. We didn't know how much they were going to play that relationship up and how much of that they were going to show us, and it helped the audience to go, oh, she's into Swan, like they're romantically involved, which leaves Lan open, because up until that point, everyone's thinking like, oh, you know, poor Nynaeve, because she feels like Lan belongs to or is romantically involved with Moiraine, and then you find out in 6, okay, we're all as well, and then it's pretty awesome. It's pretty cool to see this relationship, and then just to see Logain speak into power. That was the other piece. Logain through all of this was really cool. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. So that was up towards the top. The Dark Along the Ways. Yeah, it was good. That was really good, actually. Sorry, I almost said that it wasn't. That was really good. I enjoyed the whole Rand coming to the conclusion that he is the dragon, and it was epic. That was the one, right, with the opener with the Dragon Mount. Yeah, that was the Dragon Mount opener,
right?
Cold open, and that was great. That was fantastic. So, and yeah, at episode 8, I don't know. Yeah, maybe, it's terrible to say that the Eye of the World was not up there. It's not in the top 4, you know, for me.
That it should have been.
It should have been. Yeah, like it's terrible to say that, but like it really wasn't. The beginning was great. I loved the opening, and I don't know, man, just didn't hit the same way I thought that I thought it should. And yeah, I'm still a huge fan of it, and I still enjoyed it. And it does leave us with a lot of questions, a lot of things that we're going to wrap up that we're going to talk about today in this episode. But it just did not hit the way I thought it should. There were really good chilling moments though, with the Shamael and sort of this Age of Legends stuff, and then Moraine confronting him and all that was cool, but it just wasn't enough, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You got some comments here. A lot of people are saying, a lot of people said they thought Leandrin was better than in the books.
Yeah, yeah, that was good. Leandrin was great, and I like what they're doing with the Red Aja, and I like how she seems justified in taking out Logain. He killed somebody, buddy. He killed one of the Greens. I mean, sorry, but he needs gentle. Now, that's just coming from her perspective. I think, she needs to stand trial herself, and I don't know why we're gentle in all these men. But yeah, it was good. And I have a topic later where we'll talk about what's going on with the Red Aja and what's going on with Leandrin, because I think they've left us on a really good cliffhanger that I think is something to look into, that to theorize for season 2. But yeah, Leandrin's portrayal was great.
So what grade would you give season 1 as a whole?
Oh, give it an A. Give it an A, bro.
You got like a 9 out of 10?
Yeah. 9 out of 10, 90%. 90%. Now, here's the thing. Maybe I could be persuaded to knock it down. See, the last episode literally for me could knock it down to 85 to 87, right, which sucks, because the reason I went high on it is because I'm sort of like, maybe I need to go back and rewatch that again, that episode. And
I have.
Okay. Well, that sucks. That sucks. But again, some people loved it though. Let's talk about that. Some people really were like, "Hey, I thoroughly enjoyed that last episode. What are you guys talking about?" And we saw the comments on YouTube, and I hear you guys. That's cool. We're just being honest. We're not. It's funny because early on, I think people were like railing on us because we were really into episodes 1 through 3, and people are like, "What the heck?" But it's like, no, genuinely, that's how we felt. And then towards the end, people are like up on the season finale, and we're kind of like, I don't know, like felt like the Eye of the World hit a lot harder than that. Like the book ending really hits hard. And yeah.
I think I'm at a 7 out of 10 for season 1.
Really? Yeah.
Which is, I mean, and again, it's not that I don't think it'll go, it's awful or terrible or anything. Now that I've gone back and rewatched it for what it is. And now, like, because again, it's hard when you're sort of watching it like episode by episode, because you don't get to see things where, because now I go back and when my initial sort of watch of things, right? Like the first time I watched it, I thought, okay, like the Steppen stuff was cool. Now that I finished it, I realized that the Steppen stuff shouldn't even have been there, because I feel like it was a waste of time, because a lot of what happens in episode 8, unfortunately, I mean, that's what your season is for. Your season is there to build up your season finale. And so they could have spent more time building up Padan Fane. They could have spent more time building up the Dark One as a villain, and like why it's going to be important that we face him. Like Padan Fane just sort of shows up, and if you don't catch him in that one episode, which is cool that it's kind of like an Easter egg and whatever, then if you're a total newbie watching this, you're going to be like, who is this guy again?
Yeah, I know.
And now he's like the main villain, and so. Yeah. Now I can look back and I can be like, I feel like this was a waste. This was a waste. This was a waste. And so again, I'm at a 7. I'm still excited for season 2. I'm still down. I think season 2 will be better, but that's where I give it a C. I give it a CW10. Hey, the CW is up for sale right now, by the way. It's up for sale, so I don't know who's gonna buy it, but man, let me just say really quick, some of these CW shows, I don't know, the CW honestly has fell down so far that I think Wheel of Time is better than I watched some stuff from The Flash the other day. It looks like PS2 graphics. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, that's why it's getting
it's gone. I actually think Amazon might buy it, to be entirely honest, but that's a story for another time. But Yeah, so I feel like there was definitely a lot of moments where they wasted time, and a lot of it to me is on that on the Steppen episode, where like they kind of begin to explain the Forsaken a little bit, like, oh, when you're praying to the Forsaken to keep them away, like that was cool, that was lore building, but then it doesn't go anywhere, and then we've actually introduced the idea of the Forsaken, and then we don't even talk about them when one shows up at the end. You know,
Yeah,
you know, like, you know what I mean? You know what I
do.
mean? So
I do. I
there,
wanted more
there,
Forsaken stuff. Yeah.
yeah. So then, like, I rewatched the episode in episode 8. I mean, again, there's a lot of stuff in episode 8, but in episode 8 specifically, I feel like, man, you spent like 5 or 10 minutes doing all this stuff with Lady Amalicia and Lord Algamar talking about like their ancestral armor and why it's important. And then Algamar just goes on rides and dies. And then she's there. And then they're talking about how great it is that the women of the city are going to save the city, which was something they do in episode 1, which is cool when the ladies, like the women's circle's taken down a Trolloc. That's cool. But then in episode 8, you show that, oh, the women are going to defend this city, and they're like preparing, you know, ballistas and getting spears and stuff ready, and then it's just the 5 girls that use the power to kill all the Trollocs. So you didn't even need to show us that these women are going to build it up. So what it does is it actually sort of diminishes like the women of the Two River, because it's like, well, actually it's not as important. You just need the power in order to sort of defeat like Trollocs and all this stuff. And so you have to look at some of these points now that I can see the whole season and be like, okay, well, they set this point up here, and then this point finally came into fruition here. And did it hit as hard as it should have? Well, no, because they didn't build it up enough along the way. So now that I can view it as its own thing, that's where I'm at, is I'm at a 7 out of 10.
Yeah. You know, the cool thing, though, and where I'll give the show some credit, and people are mentioning here in the comments, right, that the last 2 episodes suffered a lot because of COVID and just money, scale, actor quitting, whole different thing.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know, for sure. But now some of these earlier points that Matt brings up, you know, that you spent screen time on and story time on, I feel like what they said was, hey, this is a setup for season 2 or season 3. And unfortunately, all we've seen, right, is season 1 and the finale. And we're going back saying, well, God, I mean, none of this stuff is paying off here at the end of season 1. But when they wrote it, and now you can say whether that's good or bad. You could say that's a dumb idea to do that, or you could say, hey, that's going to pay off in season 2 or season 3. But how much time and how much that you do could be, it's a balancing act. Like you can't do too much of it, because it is nice to set up some of the Aja camps and the politicking, and some of that stuff will matter later on. But by God, you needed to understand the Forsaken. It was important that we understood the Dark One and some of these other things. I don't know. It was again also like they tried to keep us guessing the whole time, which was okay. Frustrated some book readers for sure, like who is the Dragon Reborn. And by the way, I have a title coming up here in a little bit. We're going to talk about this. We're making some videos out of our podcast. We're going to talk about the Dragon Reborn and whether he is Rand al'Thor. That'll set people off, right? So yeah. Anyways, I get your points, and I always tend to kind of skew a little bit higher on. I'm a little bit more easygoing, more optimistic, or whatever. But the more it takes me longer, Matt, just like with the Star Wars sequels, it takes me longer to go back and because I really want to see, I really want to see the good. I really always want to pull.
It took me, guys. It took me like 2 years to finally convince Ez that The Last Jedi is not a good movie, and now he's like, guys, it sucks. Like,
sucks. There's one good moment in it, and Rian Johnson was a rogue.
It wasn't until Rise of Skywalker. To be fair, though, I mean, even with that, we needed Rise of Skywalker to be like, is this all going to work out and pay off? And then it didn't. So then it's like, okay, now I can view the whole picture as a thing. And again, there could be stuff here, right, that does play into season 2, and then it's like, okay, it makes more sense. It's bigger, it's more important, because it's something that will come up throughout the show that might be a show only thing, and then it turns out to be something like, you know, kind of cool and interesting. So I will certainly give it that. I need to see season 2 before I can judge the series and how the show is going to be going as a whole. But So for me, just season 1, it's like I look at these moments and this didn't pay off as well, even though they tried to set some stuff up here. And that's not to say there aren't stuff they did. There are some things I think they did better than the books, to be honest.
Yeah.
The white cloaks for me are way cooler than they are in the books.
Yeah.
Like the white cloaks in the books
They're a joke.
They're a joke. They never feel
annoying.
They never feel threatening ever whatsoever. Like they just never ever feel threatening. I mean, in episode 2 of the show, they have already shown us. I mean, not even episode 2. I mean, it's like the opening of episode 2. So we're an episode and 10 minutes in, and the white cloaks are already infinitely more serious than they are like ever in the books.
Yeah. Which again, then people are like, well, that you know, they get all bent out of shape about like, well, they can't do that. You're giving them too much power and stuff. But I mean, kind of a joke. Like I don't know. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I thought they were much better in the show.
I loved the scene. I loved the scene where they show up later and he's got Egwene and Perrin. I thought that was great. And that was a good payoff, right?
Yeah.
They set it up here. And it pays off, later. They attack the Tinkers. So cool, cool sort of